Welcome to The Quad, the Board Game Geek show where four notorious characters from around the world of hobby board gaming meet to discuss game-related topics. Each one of us will argue, defend, or fight to have our chosen example shown to be the best example in this week's topic. I'm Stephen Bonacore, known as the Podfather of Gaming, chairman of the board for the new publisher Play to Z, member of the board of directors for the World Series of Board Gaming, and you can find me all over social media as the Podfather of Gaming, especially on my very long-running podcast, Board Games Insider, which is now powered by BoardGameGeek, available on audio or on video at my Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel.
Hey, it's Candice Harris from BoardGameGeek, and Derek, I don't know if you know, but you have to have a longer intro than Bonacore, so I hope you're prepared for that, and you have a whole sheet of notes.
Ready.
Go ahead, Matthew.
I'm Matthew McCack from Room 51. You can follow me on all sorts of social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all at This Is Room 51.
I am Derek Jonson. I'm a art director, and I stream on Heavycardboard. I go to a lot of conventions with these wonderful people, and I'm excited to be here today.
Derek, thank you so much for being here with us. This is just like so awesome. I only get to see you, a couple of times a year, and this is great to have you here with us. This is wonderful.
I'll see you in a few months, and I'm going to teach you some new things.
I can't wait. So, what's the topic? Today, we are going to discuss, give me a drum roll, Derek Porter, producer, best game that is fiddly, but worth it. And each of us is going to tell you why our example is the best of these games, or our favorite in this genre, or what makes it special in this category. First, let's define the category of best game that is fiddly, but worth it. And this was actually a category that Derek Jonson gave to us, but he liked the way I positioned it for everybody. So let me give you the definition that we kind of agreed on, sort of. A game that is not necessarily complex, but has a lot of moving parts, rules, corner cases that you might forget, and is still totally worth playing the game. We more or less agree on that?
Yes.
Yeah, but I think also fiddly component-wise.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, things that lead to complexity.
Fiddly in whichever way, yeah.
Just now we can see what Candice's game is going to be like. Right. There we go. She wants to make sure it fits into that category. And speaking of that, Candice, why don't you tell us about your game in this category?
Absolutely. And I want to just say, first off, that my game is has the best ratio of fiddliness to being an awesome game. So I'm just going to state that up front. Oh. But I picked Roads and Boats, which is a splatter game designed by Urin Domen and Joris Wersinga. And it was originally released way back in the day in 1999. But there's a 20th anniversary edition that came out at some point 20 years later, I guess 2019. It plays with one to four players. I think with expansion, you can go to 5 or 6. And this is a very unique civilization building game that's not based on wars as you build up your civilization, but it's based on logistics and transport. And it's really, really unique. So first of all, there are, I think, over 2,000 components, all these different chits of resources and buildings, lots of things you're going to be dealing with. But I got a nice insert off Etsy. So mine is nice and organized, my copy, if you want to play with me. It has a variable map setup which off the bat is really awesome because every game is going to be a different challenge, a different puzzle. It has scenarios, but you could also set up the map however you want. So there are different types of terrains like mountain, water, and you will put these hexes, these large hexes, under a plastic plexi kind of screen, because as you build up different buildings on the board and you have different transports, you're going to actually be drawing roads between hexes to say where you have a road to be able to deliver different resources. So players start the game with 3 donkeys, a pile of wooden boards, some stones, and 2 geese. And over the course of this game, you are going to be building up and using those little resources to make better buildings, to upgrade things. And there are so many different resources and different types of buildings and technologies that it's really fascinating, and you feel the progression over the course of the game. But what you're going to be doing also, besides like finding ways to upgrade your resources and your different buildings so you can produce more resources and get better sources of transportation. You go from like donkeys to wagons, boats. You're going to be doing this over the course of the game. A lot of this game is played simultaneously. So there's like a production phase where everybody's going to produce from their buildings that they're at. There's a movement phase where everybody, again, you're doing this simultaneously unless there's a conflict, which at some point there's going to be a conflict. Then there's a building phase, and then there's a wonder construction phase. And this is really cool because players have the opportunity, if they're on their home tile and have the right amount of resources, they can build a block into this wonder we're constructing. And this wonder that we're constructing is rows of different amounts of blocks that are going to get placed. And there's an area majority scoring, which is really cool with the way you're building these wonders. But one of the really cool things about this game is also nothing belongs to you unless it's like on your wagon. So if you can't carry something and you leave it on a space, somebody else can come and pick it up. So like one of the things that I love about this game is that it's got this like balance of being like so peaceful and like almost relaxing, very thinky and so puzzly because of the logistics. But then it can be cutthroat and mean when people take stuff from you or build something that you wanted to do first. And it's just like the turn order starts to matter more and more the further you get. So this is a game that is very fiddly, but it's so worth it. You can play it solo and get like a lot of really fun puzzle experiences. You can play it with 2 players and it's great. You can play it with 3 players and it's great. It is just a fantastic game. Splatter games are so unique and charming, but very fiddly. So roads and boats, it's the way to go.
This game is so ugly.
Wow.
It is.
They're going to be haters. They're going to be haters.
It is.
It's a great way to start this.
I have not played this game, and I probably won't. It sounded like, it was mostly about like logistics and transportation, not really civ building to me. But I would much rather play a game like Hamlet, which has that sort of
which pretty much copied Roads and Boats
and looks so much better and more fun. And so I would rather play that than Roads and Boats. Thank you.
What is the playtime?
And because you haven't played
the playtime as on BoardGameGeek says 240 minutes. That's 4 hours.
It does not take that long.
Let me, please. I have played Roads and Boats, like in 1999 when it came out. Very possibly the driest Euro game ever created. It's 4.5 or more hours of dry, boring Euro. Relaxing, you called it, is like the last word I would use for this game. This game is old, and it shows it. Catch-up mechanics? Be darned in this game. You could lose by 200 points easily. No, Candice,
be better than Bonacore. Be better.
Hey, be better. Nah.
Play better.
That's usually the advice of your own too. To just play better. Just play better.
I know. It's like a fine wine, and some people will just be like, because I'm used to wine in a box, but you don't really know how to appreciate. Wait.
Like when I first played this game, I entered a little later, so I entered in probably 2015, really starting to play games, and I played this in 2016, around the same time as my title I'm going to be speaking about next. After playing that game, I realized I didn't like the heavier games. If you think about where I am currently,
Yeah.
so it didn't leave a really great impression on me as far as the game that lasted very long. High Frontier was kind of happened a few months after that, and I was like, well, ooh, I can't do this anymore.
That's
where you just
real
sit there.
heavy.
Well, you sit there forever, and I felt like Roads and Boats went a little too long for me.
Oh, no. It didn't take me 4 hours to play it with 3 people. And also, I could not stop thinking about it for like the next week. It is fascinating, the interactions between the players, and you're all wrong. So
It's gonna put me to
let's
sleep.
hear
for the
how
next
wrong
week.
you are. Let's hear how wrong you are.
Derek, take it away. What do you got for us, Derek?
My game, which it can be pretty fiddly in general, mentally and physically, as far as the actual components themselves, is Oracle Delphi. It was designed by Stefan Feld in 2016. Subsequently, when I first really started going hard, going to Essen and kind of seeing what was out there and feeling all the new modern board games. This game, at the very beginning, it's modular, similar to Roads and Boats. You'll actually set up the board itself, which can be kind of fiddly because you have to move stuff around so that you actually don't get trapped in any individual areas. So somebody needs to set it up that knows what's going on so that the board isn't set up improperly. The game itself, you're going to roll dice, and it's dice manipulation game. So you're going to be able to mitigate these your dice rolls because it's a colored die that you'll be moving around on the map. You'll have 12 different Zeus tasks. And as you're doing each one of these tasks, you'll be doing a certain type of puzzle, whether it's a pickup and delivery, where you're picking up something and delivering it somewhere else, or you're fighting a monster. You're going to do these 12 different tasks and then go back to the center before anyone else. And if you are the first person, you win. And it's usually, the game lasts about 7 to 9 rounds. So you really only get 7 to 9 turns. But in those turns, you'll be able to utilize your dice in very, very smart ways. They have these cards called Oracle cards that are kind of like fake cards, fake die, that you can use one of them. So if you're not really getting what you need, you can kind of spend a die to get one, kind of like a fake die. So the mitigating of the dice is really, really important so that you can do exactly what you want to do. And there's these powers that you receive from the gods as they're moving up. And a lot of people, when they first play, they think it's kind of fiddly because as each turn ends, there's stuff that you have to do. So at the end of every roll, everybody has to assess their gods and move up one. And at the end of every round, everybody's going to get attacked by this large monster, the sea monster that's there. So you have to also remember at every round to roll the dice and whether or not you're going to get more injuries. And injuries are really awful because you'll lose a turn, and losing a turn and you only have 7 turns, it's pretty quick. Your game will be over. But as far as Oracle Delphi, it's fiddly, but it's definitely worth it because this game has been in my top 10 to my top 3 to my number 1 game over the years. And every time I play it, I want to play it more. And I wish more people would be able to play this fantastic race game.
Well, I have to say I've never played, but I give mad props to Stefan Feld, Herr Feld, amazing designer. And I'll also give you this. It's not very long on BoardGameGeek, 70 to 100 minutes. So
you could play it 45 minutes online, and it would be less fiddly.
not bad like that, but this sounds like a variant on like trading in the Mediterranean. Or maybe in this case, trading in the Aegean Sea. Like, Aegean, very, very fancy. I was bored to tears like as I read about this game. Game sounds like a boring dish covered by boring sauce, sprinkled with a little bit of boring seasoning. That's what I got when I looked at this game. And I love Stefan; he's a great designer. So I can't give much more than that because I've never played it. I don't even know people playing this, which is very interesting. I've never seen this come up I've heard of it, but I've never seen this come up on people's lists. So the fact that you give it such a high rating is very interesting. I would like to at least try it out.
So I have played it. Derek, I played it with you. You taught it to me, and I loved it enough that I found a copy of it, and then I played my copy once. And then I ended up selling it because I think ultimately, like, there was something that was, like a Euro race game was kind of charming and fun and exciting. But ultimately, it's kind of just forgettable for me. And yeah, whereas like Roads and Boats, I couldn't stop thinking of. So yes and no.
I think I'm gonna get some hate for this, but I am not a fan of Stefan Feld.
Hot take.
I find his designs to be very boring. Except for Notre Dame, I actually really like Notre Dame. But otherwise, I don't really like his games usually, so I tend to gloss over them. This is one game I will say that I actually took an interest in from Stefan Feld, because it seemed, I don't know, a little more thematic in a way, and that is something that I enjoy in games. But overall, I still felt like, I think I'm going to be bored by it. I have not actually played it, but it's one that I'd actually like to try.
And hopefully more people will.
Matthew, what do you have on tap for us here?
Okay, so my game is the best. It is Arkham Horror 2nd Edition. There is a 3rd edition out, but specifically I'm talking about 2nd Edition. And I could go on a whole spiel about why 3rd Edition is not even actually 3rd Edition, but I'm not going to get into that. This game came out in the year 2005, and it was published by Fantasy Flight Games, designed by Kevin Wilson and Richard Lanius. And yes, this game can take a while to play. Now, is that a bad thing? Heck no, it's not, because the longer the better, the more fun. And you are essentially playing cooperatively. You're playing as investigators trying to close down these gates that are opening up and letting or otherworldly creatures in. And you're trying to ultimately defeat the Ancient One in combat. But you are trying to close all these gates before the Ancient One even awakens. That would be ideal. Usually that doesn't happen. You have to go up against the big baddie, and most likely will lose. It is a very difficult game to actually win, and I like that in co-ops. Now, there's a lot of fiddliness in this game where the rulebook is atrocious. It is absolutely terrible, and it makes it very difficult. It's just all over the place, the rulebook, and that is something that makes it fiddly. There are dice involved in which, you're trying to pass skill tests and all these different things, and to also try to beat up on monsters and everything with these dice, and that can lead to fiddliness too, because you could be rolling like 20 different dice sometimes. They're all d6s, but it all depends on if you have the clue tokens where you're moving around. Different monsters have different abilities, so that can add to it, and you have to you're probably going to be looking it up in the rulebook, especially for the first couple of times that you're playing. Now, even though it is difficult, it's still winnable. You have to really bulk up on the weapons that you have, the spells, the clue tokens. That way you can mitigate the dice. But ultimately, this is just so much fun. There's a lot of role play in the game, if you want there to be. You don't actually have to role play, but there's stories that come out of this game that is so much fun. And there are there's stories not just from stories of oh my god, we almost beat it, but we didn't, or whatever. No, there's actual encounters that you're going up against, and they tell you things that are going on inside the game. It's quirky, it's charming, and I just really love Arkham Horror 2nd Edition.
Never played. Don't really. I took a look at it. I think I love Arkham Horror the card game, but this just looked like it just takes up a hot mess on the table.
It does.
And it looks like it takes forever. And everybody's commenting on the times in BGG, which are never accurate, right? Everything takes longer most of the time than what's listed there. Sometimes it's shorter. But anyway, I was just looking at that game and I was like, I don't think I want to sit around all day. And I know it's going to be a long game. I could tell.
All day.
Rolling 20 dice, Matthew. No thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I played this game. I played this game that somebody that loves the game, because obviously the rule book is not something I would ever want to read or look at. After a couple of paragraphs, I was literally like,
But it's worth it.
Sure. That would mean you'd have to like co-ops, because I consider any game that can be played by one person should just be played by one person, really. When you look at the players, it says 1 to 8, but the more people, the longer the game, because the more conversation happens. And obviously, if you want conversation, you probably shouldn't be playing a game. You could probably just have that conversation in a line or doing something else. But he loved that game, so I played the game, and he really enjoyed the experience, and I didn't so much enjoy the experience, but I understand why people do like that game. But I wouldn't necessarily call it fiddly. I think it's more should be played by one person.
Yeah, no, I'd call it fiddly, all right. But I gotta say, Matthew, finally, thank you, a thematic game.
Yeah.
A game with heavy theme. That Board Game Geek says takes 4 hours. Bull crap. 4 hours? That's even more, first of all, of a lie than Rows and Boats 4 hours. This is a 6-hour game. It could be an 8-hour game. And I've seen it. I've seen people play this game for 8 hours and not finish this game. It takes so long, and sadly, for a thematic game, it just gets boring at that point because you're just going on forever. And really, Matthew, you know how much I respect you, and you pick good games sometimes, and I'm okay with this one. You know it. However, hasn't like everything that's come after this in this genre been better? We can talk about the 3rd edition, but we'll leave that to the side. Arkham Horror thing. Eldritch Horror, Mansions of Madness, which is not the same game, but it's definitely a better game. Definitely part of this like world. So no, Arkham Horror 2nd edition is so old school at this point, man. No way.
Yeah, and it's cool, man. Vintage is all the rage.
Vintage is
My
the
game
rage.
is more vintage than that.
Why have a CD when you can have a cassette?
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's great. That is beautiful. All right, nice. As usual, we save the best for last. And what we have for you here in this category is my game, Station Fall, published in 2023 by Ion Game Design. Designer is Matt Eklund, son of the noted game designer Phil Eklund. Mechanisms, action points, deduction, hidden rolls, hidden victory points, pick 'em and deliver, rolls with asymmetric information, variable player power. Categories are deduction, science fiction. It plays 1 to 9 players, and I've played it with 9. Wow, crazy. Ages 12 plus, plays in 60 to 150 minutes. That's not particularly accurate either, I'm going to say. This is a 3-hour game. Good 3 hours. Ranked at 1096 on BGG, but 153 in thematic games. The publisher's take on this first. What is Station Fall? Well, imagine a dozen or so random humans, robots, and none of the aboves, each with their own abilities, goals, and secret relationships. And they have been turned loose on a space station that is going to be incinerated upon its inevitable re-entry into Earth's atmosphere, which is about 10 to 15 game rounds. You are one of these characters, and the others are collaborators that may assist you in achieving your goals. But choose those characters wisely, as one of them could secretly be another player waiting to betray you.
Dun, dun, dun.
Station Fall is a box full of creative solutions, and that box is going to morph, twist, and grow teeth over the course of play. Your best turns will exploit the unique tactical freedom of being part of a secret conspiracy, as well as deductions about the opponent's identities and motives. Station Fall is messy, intricate, and full of dangerous variables. Now, those were the publisher's words about Station Fall. It is messy, intricate, and full of dangerous variables, which is like the definition of fiddly. Bit more in detail about how this game works. It's depending on the number of players, which I mentioned goes from 3 to 9, the station will be full of characters, like 15 or 20 of them. You're given 2 characters randomly to choose from. One is your inside guy, ultimately will become you as a player character, and the second one is someone you care about. You either want them alive or dead at Station Fall. And that term, Station Fall, marks the point where the space station explodes or hits the Earth's atmosphere, killing everybody remaining inside. So after about 10, 15 game rounds, anyone still on the station is dead. Anyone who's escaped in an escape pod or is safely in space is alive. Via influencing some of the various characters on the space station, mostly NPCs, but your character as well, before or after you reveal yourself, you coerce the characters to do your bidding, like release Project X. Oh, did I mention there's an alien or a technology on the ship? When released, will cause utter chaos and havoc. Make a gun or a bludgeon. Why? To go around downing people since it's fun or part of your hidden objective. Turn off the lights. Why? To make it easier to shoot or bludgeon people and not become suspicious. Damage a section, a room on the space station. Why? Because it's fun, or then no one else can use that room and you need it to be like offline. Arm the antimatter. Why? To insist in blowing up the space station, of course. Use compromat, which is compromising materials, or bribe. Why? To get a character to do stuff for you since you have something on them, or you pay them to do something for you. And the list goes on and on and on. Every room on the space station has multiple special abilities that you can use. Oh, did I mention the sections or the rooms? There's like 24 of them. Each one is special, some unique, and you can take many actions in each section. Stop yawning, Candice. So like 100 different actions in total in this very fiddly game. Oh, did I mention objectives? Every character has a hidden agenda to score victory points. Big deal. That's not fiddly. Oh, but wait. You have like 6 different parts of your hidden agenda. You like go down with the space station and release Project X. Don't let any officers off the ship. Have the artifact in the briefcase. Don't allow any information to be transmitted to Earth. This game is a case study in how to make a game chaotic and at the same point be as fiddly as possible, because you have to look all over the board to figure out where everything is that you need to get your objective and to prevent people from getting their objectives done. Now, everybody knows that I love Thunder Road Vendetta, which is a chaotic game. However, Stationfall makes Thunder Road Vendetta look like a streamlined Euro game. In the chaos of Stationfall, the permutations for the actions and objectives and the intermingling of the other characters, their actions, they're infinite. Literally, like virtually an infinite number. In conclusion, this game is, I usually say genius at this point. But this game, instead of saying genius, this game is insane. But as they say, there's a fine line between insanity and genius. And that is what this game is. It's fiddly to the max, both mentally, physically, with hundreds of pieces of cardboard and such to use. No game will ever come close to resembling another game. You'll be angry at getting your plans foiled, players messing with your character, your plans. You'll score like 4 victory points sometimes after 3 hours of gameplay, and you'll be laughing, loving, and thinking about what the F just happened to you for the entire game. Your Honor, the defense rests.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
You do talk a lot at the end, huh?
Yeah. And I would say, like, you did do one thing better than all of us, Bonacore. You always read the exact description off of BGG.
Because I get it right.
And you're standing out because of that.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
What I'll say is, I have played Stationfall probably like maybe 3 or 4 times. And I own it and I enjoy it a lot. But my biggest challenge is I don't want to teach it to people. Oh. Like, if I could play with people who know the game and we just play, like, that would be fun. But I don't want to teach it to people because it's always a lot for people to grasp. Also, you have all those different characters on the side. Don't accidentally put one on the solo side, which you can't really tell because then you're playing with wrong rules. And it's a solid game, but ultimately, I would rather play something like Nemesis.
Ooh,
good game too.
Thanks.
Yeah. I saw, as you were talking about the game, I could see how there was a lot of fiddliness in the game, but I failed to see how it was worth it. It sounded like a glorified party game. And it, I think that people would say like a party game for gamers, but just because things are more complicated and more fiddly does not mean that like, oh, okay, great, we'll just call it a party game for gamers. It's like, no, it might just not be worth playing this party game, essentially, that takes about 3 or 4 hours to play.
I've played it quite a few times. I streamed it, as part of the, kickoff of that game, and played it with Candice, who's a shark. She as long as she's not teaching, she can Jedi mind trick everybody to do what she wants and not move her people one iota and still crush all of our hopes and dreams. That's
Candice.
The game itself is fragile. There are some pieces to the game that can make the game fall apart easily if somebody's not having fun, and that 3-hour experience can really drag down that experience overall. The frailty of the game lies in its fiddliness. So I wouldn't necessarily say it would be the best game for fiddliness, but it's pretty high up there.
Well, thank you. I believe I've been vindicated the entire thing. You agreed with me. I think all of you agreed with me. Very good.
I mean, it's if you picked the game that's got all of the mental and physical fiddliness.
It really does. It really does. So today we tackled the very difficult topic of best games that are fiddly but worth it. And there really are a lot of good games in this category. I hope you all agree that the choices made by the co-hosts were excellent and really representative of the category. What do you think? Tell us in the comments below. Agree, disagree, say Bonacor has no clue about what he's doing. Just let us know in the comments below. But whatever you do, please like and subscribe to this video and this channel. And in case you've forgotten, I'm Stephen Bonacor, the podfather of gaming.
And I'm Candice Harris from BoardGameGeek.
I'm Matthew McCack from Room 51.
I'm Derek Jonson from Heavycardboard.
And we hope to see you here next time on The Quad. Bye, everybody.
It's like Steven has to use his hands. I notice every time he's like, his hands come out.
It's the way Italians talk to each other. Hey.